There were so many unique fighting games on the Nintendo 64. You had Clay Fighters, Custom Robo, Fighters Destiny, Killer Instinct, Mortal Kombat, another Mortal Kombat, another Mortal Kombat. But you know what? Nobody speaks about it. Nobody dares say its name. Flying Dragons. This game had so much packed into it, but unfortunately, it did have several flaws to go with it as well. But we'll talk about that later. Before we dive into the glory of this game, I'm just going to give you a little bit of history, just a little dabble. Flying Dragons is a Japanese fighting game that was released in 1998 in July in the United States. Now, in 1998, there was a stupid amount of good video games coming out. You know, I'm just glad that there was movie rental places like Blockbuster and Movie Gallery, or I wouldn't have been able to rent all these different types of video games when I was a kid. Man, 1988 had so many sequels and prequels from all sorts of genres. We had F-Zero X, Marvel vs. Capcom, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil 2, Sonic Adventure, Street Fighter Alpha 3, House of the Dead, Banjo-Kazooie. What is going on in 1998? Dance Dance Revolution, Gex the Gecko, Spyro the Dragon, Tekken 3. So much heat coming out of 1998, man. And we have little flying dragons trying to make a little baby splash. And nobody was having it. It had bad reviews when it came out. But hey, I'm not gonna cap. I still liked it. I still have fun with it to this day. It does have its flaws, yes, but it's still a pretty decent game. So I understand there's some stiff competition. That could be one of the big reasons this game didn't get much attention. It was released by Natsume and Brain Culture. You might know this company for making games like Harvest Moon. Culture made a lot of baseball games. A year later, a sequel to Flying Dragons comes out, which I had actually never heard of until I decided to make this video. I'm gonna have to track it down. We'll see if I can get my hands on it and see what it's hitting on. But this game had so much shit compacted into it. You had two game modes to pick off from jump. The area where it was like the SD version with the younger kids, or you could jump into the RN territory and hook with just nothing but the adults. The best part of the game. The adult version was kind of whack, to be honest with you. But you know what? We're going to talk about the adult version later. We're going to speak on this SD version, because that's where all the juice is at. So after you get into the mode you want to play, it takes you to a menu. And you know, honestly, there's a pretty decent selection of what could be done within the game at this time. Like, I mean, you have your standard, circuit mode, which is like the arcade. You had player versus player, tournament mode, group battles. Which group battles is really cool because you're picking a team of 3 and go against another team of 3, which is pretty fun. But you can only do that local co-op. You can't do that with the computer. There was also the dojo, so the train. Options, basic standard options, nothing different there. And then they also had this thing called the treasure box. And that's where you could go to get a whole bunch of unlockables. Now, we all know one of the most important elements to a fighting game is the characters, of course. Do you have some fun characters? How many do you got? And do they got some good combos? Well, here's the roster right here. They got, at least about 10 characters. Could they have used more? Yeah, they definitely could have used some more characters. But everybody's pretty distinct for the most part. They all have their own special abilities, and they all have their own moves, and they all have their own little special, attack, not finisher, but like the special moves. So I mean, we could run down some real quick if y'all want to see. There's some cool ones in here, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like there's this wrestling guy. His special's pretty cool. He's like really big into grabs, of course, because he's a wrestler, you already know. But he hits you with some Street Fighter slamming. And then you got this guy right here. He's from the United States, actually. His name's Willer. He's supposed to be an army guy from the military, and he knows martial arts. So that's what this guy's all about. He's okay. I didn't like him too much to keep him 100, but he could throw a grenade, I think, if you do it right, which come in handy sometimes. This chick is pretty good. She is pretty good, this girl right here. She has some good abilities. She does a lot of counters too, so sometimes you'll see her moves, but she's actually doing counters because I'm not hitting anything because he's not hitting me. Her special might be the longest special in the game now that I think about it. It's pretty cool. Her face like completely changes when she does the special. Like she gets all flustered and mad, and I love how she kicks him away at the end. So the next we got this Robo guy. This guy's really good, and when the computer plays with him, he's cheese. So you gotta watch out for him. His special's strong. He's got a good projectile. He knows how to slam. He can fly into you. There's just so much good stuff about this guy. And if I'm not mistaken, he might take a little less damage too. Next, we got your traditional Ryu. You already know you got the blast. There's a little leg spin for the special. But he's nice. You can make some good combos with him. You can make some cake up real quick with him. Just simple combos, high kicks and low kicks and punches in there. You good. It says that this guy is a quiet warrior. And his location is like unknown. But he's okay. He's not bad, honestly. When I played with him as the adult version, he's actually how I beat the game as the adult or the other version of the game. It was because of this guy, because I just had to cheese my way through the whole game, because the adult version is so much harder than this version. Like, there is no mercy from the computer. I just keep it moving. This person right here is actually my favorite character in the game. I think his name's Shoryu, if I'm saying it right. So this is the guy I use the most. His backstory said that he was in Mexico wrestling and practicing martial arts, and he's also a ghost hunter. So there's that. He was just the easiest person to get in and get out, because he will do a jump attack that would hit you and it will kind of stun the enemy so you can get out. And I liked his projectiles too, because you could do his projectile in the air also. That was pretty cool. And you got this guy Kazuya, who actually reminded me of Vegeta. Growing up when I used to play with Kazuya, I don't know why it just always gave me Vegeta vibes. I guess because he's looks kind of like sinister, like angry. But he's really good too. He's one of the other better characters in the game, and he's got a pretty decent special too. At first when I replayed this game, I was like, yo, what is this trash? I couldn't do anything. I was doing real bad. But I went to the lab, picked up a few combos here and there, and your boy got a little saucy. So, I went through the whole game mode, the whole circuit mode. The first time, it's just regular old circuit. You win 2 fights, you advance to the next one until you get to the final person. Now, before and after the fight, they might say something to each other, like, a little banter or a line or two. But I would say out of the 50 lines, maybe about 48 of them are not very good, so you ain't missing much of those. You just mash right past them and get to the fighting. One thing that's nice though is that background music for some of these levels is pretty smooth. Sometimes you can really sit there and enjoy some of that background music. The one thing about fighting in the circuit mode is the time limit. So if the time limit was so short for this game, because it was hard to kill somebody in a fast amount of time. So you could really just get away with shooting projectiles or just fighting them until their health was lower than yours. And then boom, that's it. You win the match right there. It was always nice too, after you finish beating people or if you win the tournament, you'll get an item or your character might level up. And that was one of the distinguishable things about this game compared to other fighters, is that your character will level up as you played, as well as the items you played. So it's almost had those little RPG mechanisms to the game as well, which was pretty cool. But you didn't really need them. I feel like they didn't really affect the game very much. Okay, so fast forward. After you beat the game the first time around, the circuit the first time, somebody's gonna show up and he's like, hey, I'm gonna catch you at the next one. Make it to the next finals and you gonna see me, bruh. So that's what happens. You fight, you have to do the whole circuit again. If you lose, that means you have to do the first circuit. So you can't lose for 2 whole circuits, basically. And you'll get to fight a metal version of a character. Which they could be pretty difficult. It's not that they're harder, it's that they take more damage. And it just takes forever to kill them because it's unlimited time limit. Also, every time you hit them, they activate something called like time freeze, and it makes your person freeze after every single hit. So your best bet is to do some kind of move that stuns them for a second, or just do projectiles, because if you get hit, you're frozen. So of course they're gonna come back and start hitting you with combos. After you beat the silver guy, there's not much going on there. There'll be another guy that's metal that challenges you to the next championship, and it keeps going on and on. But you do get some good unlockables after that. You usually get to level up an item, your character levels up, and you find a rare item as well. Some of the items you can get can actually give you new abilities, which is awesome. Alright. Now let's get over to the adult side. This is like the HD version. You could pick different modes within this too. They had majority of the same modes as the kids, except you could pick from between 2D and 3D fighting, which is crazy. So if you really think about that, that's 3 different fighting styles in one video game. SD, 2D, 3D. That's a lot in one package. But this game was no joke. I mean, this computer in the adult version was hard. When I fought the first stage, which is always the same stage, this chick kicked my butt for at least an hour. I had to just keep going through other characters and trying new combos, going to the lab, trying to get right, but she was just the gatekeeper and she wasn't having none of that. But I picked up this guy right here and I was just mashing around. And I noticed that he has a high kick and he does 2 high kicks at once. For some reason, the computer couldn't handle that double high kick action. So with that being said, I was on the computer's neck for the remainder of the game. I'm talking, I hit this little 2 kick in the airs every single fight because I just wanted to get through it because I had never beat this when I was younger. So I was like, hey, if I got to cheese my way to the finals, I'm going to cheese it. So that's what happened. I made it all the way to the finals with this guy and I got to see the final boss. Pretty cool guy. Not much different than any other fighter. Like, it's nothing to be blown away by, but you can unlock him. He isn't unlockable. So that's pretty fun too. But I gave him the business. And after that, that was it. There was no other characters. It actually goes to the credits and everything. So you like beat the game essentially. The adult version's okay, but it's like there's no wow factor to it. There's no sparkle to it like there was in the SD version. This version of the game, I would rather just go play like a Dead or Alive or play some Mortal Kombat or something. There's just nothing special about it to me. That being said, Flying Dragons is a fun game. Yeah, it has some flaws and the other mode is not the best to me, but there's a lot in this game. And if you love fighting games, I still recommend checking it out. If it had more characters, it might have done better in the long run. But hey, who knows? You know, if this video gets enough views or enough likes, I might track down that second version that I never played just to see what it's hitting on. And hey, if you stuck around to the end of this video, you a real one. And thank you so much for watching.